I was just 22 years old when the war broke out. All my neighbors had been upset, and we had talked about it and worried about it. But that great blue roll of blue was coming down out of the north and threatening our homes. We lived in a little town about 25 miles, kind of southwest of Corinth.
Oh, take this over to Kevin real quick. This, my purse.
And about 20 miles north of that was Shiloh, where that first major bloody battle was fought. Me and my brother went up to join the Confederacy there at Corinth on April 29, 1862. We did it not for states' rights, or we did it not to protect slavery. We did it to protect our homes, which we knew were going to be overrun. When we first got up to Corinth that day, that was the most horrible sight I'd ever seen. There were tents everywhere, the little hilly hillside. There were people laying in them, missing arms, missing legs, badly wounded. There were sick people everywhere. We hardly knew what to think. This was our first view of what war could be like. We didn't do a lot that first month or so up there because we had no arms. You know, the entire Confederacy, when the war broke out, only had 1 month's worth of gunpowder. That's not a very long war. But they cured that, you know, a little money can get you anywhere. We fought off a few skirmishers during that month and everything, but we knew that after Shiloh that the North was coming down, and they did. That night before they arrived, we took logs and painted them black, stood them up parapet, so they would think we were still there, and we got on trains and went south to Tupelo, Mississippi. When they got there, there was no one there. But we were a sick bunch. Every house, every station, every hotel, everything you had had sick troops laying all over the place. They had dysentery, typhoid, every disease that you can think of. We were a pretty motley crew. Things got a little better in June and July down in Tupelo. We did some training. We worked hard. Started to become kind of an army. We had a new general, General Beauregard. He got sick in Corinth as well and went down into Alabama. And we never heard much about him the rest of the war. We now had a new general by the name of Braxton Bragg. General Bragg, he was a cruel man. He was a hard man. The first thing we experienced is a couple of boys decided they wanted to go home. He caught them, he brought them back, hung them right there in the middle of the camp. Isn't that terrible? But we had to have discipline. All right. But anyway, we did our training. We knew that they were coming down, so sometime in around the 1st of July, we boarded the train from Mobile, Alabama. Went down to Mobile, got on another train, and all the way back up to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We heard that the Union was coming across from Nashville and going to meet us there, but General Forrest, he kind of put a hiatus to that. He cut the supply line, so that didn't do it. We were headed up to Kentucky. We had heard there's a whole bunch of people up there ready to join the Confederacy. So that's where we went. We took, I believe it was 10 loads of firearms and ammunition up there to supply the troops, which we didn't get. We marched all over Kentucky during July and August, September. Then we all met at a place called Perryville, north central part of the state. The Union Army coming across from Knoxville. Our troops didn't know it, but they ran into the main army. That morning we was all sitting up on a hill up there looking down into this little valley. We could see the dust from the Lordy, I tell you what, you can't beat it. We had a drought that year. There was no water. The creek was all dry. There wasn't water for the horses or the men. And you couldn't tell a Yankee from a Reb because every one of us was brown. But anyway, we're standing up there on the hill that morning. The battle starts. You see General Cleburne over here, good group, charging up. They're around Squire Bottom's house, fighting hot together. General Manus over here on the right, they're going out across the valley there. We're kind of held up here reserved. We did a good part of the morning up there. Later in the afternoon, we're told to move down. We moved down into the valley. It's starting to get later and later. We're fighting. You know, you're marching into this valley of the shadow of death. Bullets everywhere. Cannon firing over your head. Shrapnel bursting. Because the little children here, I'll try to make it as light as I can, but there was men falling everywhere. It was just a pretty horrible thing. It was my first taste of battle. I didn't know what to think. Sometime towards the end of the battle, something bit me and I passed out. I woke up, there's this bright moon shining over my head. Field and man laying on the ground all around. Got up, turned back the way I came. Later that evening I found the rest of the army, not my unit, but found the rest of the army. We were already in full retreat. General Bragg, he was real good about advancing. He was even better about retreating. He got a lot of practice at it. We went back, and that trip, we marched across to the Cumberland Gap, the eastern part of the state there. We come down across Green. But that march from Berryville to the Cumberland Gap, we were starved to death. We'd already eat up everything we had. My land had been messed up. We had very little to eat. So we did our march, 8 acres. We went out and took field corn, it takes a couple of years, 2 years, we put them in our haversack. Then that, we marched them over an open fire. That would be our dinner. We didn't have shoes either. We'd already walked our shoes off in that 207-mile march up there. And you could see the footprints of blood before we walked out there. It was a pretty horrible thing. And this was just the beginning. Just the beginning of the war. We marched down through Kentucky, over to Tennessee, we caught the trains down to Chattanooga, and then back up to a little town called Shelbyville, just south of Nashville. The Union Army was all held up in Nashville. All of its wonder and power and pomp, richness, uniforms, weapons. We were already prepared. But they deployed us down south of the town called Murfreesboro. Our unit was over the town. We were going in a little place called Trident. We spent the month of December there. I remember Christmas Day, we had our normal 2 years more, maybe a little fatback, you know. That was our first Christmas. Needless to say, I thought that whole day was all that. On December 31st, or actually on about the 26th, the Union Army started its move out of Nashville to the south. We had to leave. We were overrun. We were outnumbered. So we retreated back into Nashville, back on the south side of Nashville, put in charge of the railway station. We were a small regiment. We lost a lot of our people in the war. We had no artillery. So as we stood ready for the battle on the 31st of December, we could hear the cannon up the Stone River. day, way into the night. And then on the first mountain started again. We knew something was going on, but we never knew what. And then on the evening of the first, they started reporting back to the Bracken Creek again. The best delivery. We retreated back and we went back to a town called Tullahoma, Tennessee. Tullahoma spent the winter there. And then stayed in Nashville. We got 40 miles south of it. In fact, we were there until the 23rd of June, 1863. No battles, all these skirmishes, give the cavalry to come down with typical Union stuff, and vice versa sometimes, you know. But on June 24th, Thomas said he's moving until the whole Union Army started. About the same time it started to rain. Oh, did it rain. It rained for 2 weeks solid. That's the only thing that saved our lives. Because as we had dry roads, the Unions would have flanked us on the north, they would have cut our supply lines, and that would end the Army of Tennessee right there. But they didn't. So we retreated back through it into Chattanooga. We stayed in Chattanooga there for, I suppose, a week or so. General Bragg thought he was pretty safe there. He thought if anything they would go down to the north and try to cut us supply line on that. They didn't. They come around the south end. So we had to retreat across the river into northern Georgia. We ran around there for a couple of weeks, I suppose. We started getting some more troops. Vicksburg had fallen in that meanwhile, you know, and getting some troops up to that area. General Johnson's army. And then they sent Wheeler over to Virginia. So Bragg had prepared this big offensive to take on the Union. There's a place called Chickamauga Creek. Chickamauga Creek, you know, I know that it's going to go down in there. Goes down in the terrible battle. This time I was under General Cleveland. General Cleveland, we were down at the 3rd Ward. General Cleveland was ordered up and ordered in behind where Newell's troops was going in with fighting all day. They found us tired and laying back in the meadow. We went in about 5 o'clock in the evening and called them before the double quick time. Well, the Union met him head on. Cannon, shrapnel, canister, whatever. 2 firing lines over them. They cut us down pretty bad, but we went in so hard and fast we went about over the top of it. We took the line, we captured about 35 of them. There at the edge of the wood. I put on guard duty that night. I'd had a small wound in my right hand. That wasn't too bad, you know. A lot of the boys thought it was more than that. We marched into that thing and we spent the night. The next morning we got up. We were supposed to fight again at 5 o'clock, but here again, General Bragg and his boys couldn't get their exercise. It was 9 when we had to fight. Meanwhile, General Cleveland brought all of our supply weapons and fed us and reloaded us and everything. We were pretty well ready for it. So we lined up. We had got the name they had. Sharpshooter unit on our left, 45th Alabama, I believe, on our right. No, I'm sorry, 45th Alabama was on the left. I'm pretty old, so I'm forgetting. But anyway, I remember that because when we got started into the battle, the 45th kind of got out of line and started sidling over in front of us. We shot a few of them. I hope I never did because I was sure we got one of our boys. It happens, you know, in war. We got whipped pretty hard there that night. Yeah, we got the ball back. Fought all day. Thomas really dug in. That evening, we hear the troops crying, wounded, falling in the water. Again, one chicken mountain. Here again is General Bragg. If General Bragg took advantage of it, he might not have had necessary because he was told, General Ford came and told him that they were retreating and he wanted to go up and cut it off. Bragg told him no. General Ford walked out and said, that man should have never had to fight battle. And sure enough, they went back and they took the very fortresses that we had built in Chattanooga and Douglas on the other side of the river. So here we are, starting the Army with no food, no equipment, no ammunition, nothing but us. We laid siege to them. We were going to starve them out. If any of you knows anything about that, knows that didn't work real well. And we stayed there from October 24th of November. I have a son whose name is Chris. And he married a young lady by the name of Minnie Bartlett. And Minnie Bartlett's father was over on Lookout Mountain that morning and looking for it across the Tennessee River, running around and attacked him, just totally overrun him. They didn't have any idea that he was on top of it. Mr. Bartlett was shot in his stomach, but he hadn't eaten in so long, and the bullet passed all the way through and didn't kill him. He got captured, and he got sent away to that horrible Rock Island prison camp up in Illinois. He went up there for the rest of the war. We were all getting ready to go to Virginia, and General Claiborne found out he was ordered back, so we went back. We were on the very north end of Missionary Ridge. We were facing General Sherman, the entire army. And on the morning of the 25th, we had to stop. We were building abutments and rifle pits and everything. We had a lunar eclipse that darkened everything so dark we couldn't see the work. And so for 2 hours we had to lay off our thing. Early that morning, Sherman's troops came up. We tried 3-4 times that day. We would hold them back every time. We held them back all day. Finally, when General Thomas's army headed up the top of Missionary Ridge and headed back around, we were told to hold the line while the army retreated. All the wagons got out, which we did. It was a running battle for the next 3 days, 25th, 26th, 27th. Finally, we wound up at a place called Ringo Gap. Ringo Gap, you know, back the entire Union Army, General Claiborne's division, I'm speaking of. And we did it not a large cost of men. They had to work together. Well, somewhere about that time, they decided not to pursue any further, so we went into winter quarters there in Dalton, Georgia. We spent the entire winter. General Bragg got relieved from command. General Joe Johnson took over the army. Joe Johnson, he was a good man. He was a great leader. He was a great general. He kept us fed. He got food to us. He got us new uniforms. He got us ammunition, better weapons, and he did more training with us. We got more training, more protection. So, on about the, I believe the 6th or 7th of May, the Union started their move again. We were outnumbered at probably 100,000, 60 or 70,000, and all I did was top Southern border. They attacked us at Dalton. We helped them off at Dalton. They were coming down the other side of that ridge there. We did a forced march over to Doug Gap, 20 miles, double time. And we stopped them there, and then we went down to Snake Creek, and we wound up in Resaca, Georgia. I'm sure a lot of you heard about the Battle of Resaca. We won that too, but we retreated right afterwards. Are you seeing a pattern here?
Yeah.
We did a lot of retreating. Of course, we were outnumbered. But one thing about Joe Johnson, when we retreated, we made ourselves known, and we retreated only to be able to fight again another day, which we did over and over that whole summer. You know, that battle of Atlanta like that summer was called the 100-Day Battle, because we fought almost every day from May the 7th to September the 1st. And I'm not going to go into all those battles because it was one continual battle that whole time. The one thing I will mention briefly is Kennesaw Mountain, because that was a huge thing in Kennesaw. We had the whole Union Army held up for weeks and weeks, and we fought and we stopped. At one point during one of the battles, toward the end, the battle got so heavy that it set the woods on fire. And the Union troops that had been wounded trying to approach the breastworks, Confederate breastworks, they were burning to death because they couldn't move. So one of Cleveland's colonels stepped up on the breastwork and waved a white flag and said, we'd like to have a truce. They came up to him and started a 2-hour truce. All of us jumped over the breastwork, we went down, took those Union boys up, and got them out of harm's way, and got them to where they could receive attention. After it's all over, we had about an hour left. We had a whole hour left. We could sit and visit, and we traded stuff that we had. We had a little tobacco, and they had some coffee. Coffee was a real scarce thing. But we traded with them. We talked to them. We showed each other pictures of our family. After it was all over, we went back and started shooting. I don't think any of them shot very good at all. I know I didn't. Kept shooting high. After Kennesaw, General Johnson fell into disfavor. Richmond, he was leaving command. We was given a new commander, General John Bell Hood. General Hood was a war hero, very brave man, awesome fighter. He was quick to attack. General Hood had been wounded. I believe it was getting burnt up right now. I can't remember for sure, but he lost the use of his arm. And then at Chickamauga, he lost the leg. So here's a general
B-17
kind of
largest World War II battle.
in the battle. And like I say, he was quick to attack. First battle was Peachtree Creek. We lost several thousand of our boys. Really horrible battle. Because we attacked all those two gods. And then there was Ezra Church, same thing. And then the Battle of Atlanta itself. You got to remember, Atlanta had about 10,000 people. About 10,000 people. And then they had about another 10,000 Union troops there too. But it was surrounded. We got breastworks all the way around the city. I'm going to jump ahead now because nothing particular interesting happened except for our march back to rain, snow, and sleet to Spring Hill, Tennessee, where we fought Slow Spring. And on the evening of November 30th, 1864, we stood on a hill about 2 miles above a little town called Franklin, Tennessee. The Union Army was dug in on the south side of Franklin, Tennessee. Our line was 6 miles wide. We had 2 miles of no cover starting with their line. So I'll never forget that day. General Cleveland down here in front of us. One of the boys said that no man had said something about General doesn't look good down there. And General Cleveland turned to him and said, well, gentlemen, Today we must die, let us die like men. He was a brave man. So the charge was given, we started down this hill. The banners were all unfurled, the bands were playing, there was rocket streamers in the air. We were going into this battle. About halfway down, we went into double full time. Smoke was getting too thick in the rocket. We barely saw General Pickens getting shot. He got up off his sword, took the cap off his head and put it on his saber and held it up in the air. Everybody followed. He walked into the smoke. I walked up and saw him laying there. Lord. We lost 4 generals. General Granbury, who was a good commander of slavery here in Texas. General Granbury, the first time we were seeing him was Ship Rocket. He was with us all through this. So next we went to Nashville and lost that city. And we marched back into Tupelo, Mississippi, just at the start of the East Side. We left Buzzard all the way to the north, all the way back to Tupelo.
Sure.
Yes, the only thing I can say is we stalled their guard, but our country never saw them. So divided that we'll take up arms against our neighbors, our friends, our family. That's going to be the thing we guard most. Thank you.